The news coming out of Seattle right now completely changes how you have to look at this playoff matchup, because this is no longer just another chapter in the Niners versus Seahawks rivalry. This is a game that suddenly feels tilted by circumstance, injuries, and timing, and that is exactly why it is so important to understand what is really happening behind the scenes. The Seahawks are coming in off a bye, they are rested, they are healthier, and they are getting key players back, while the 49ers are dealing with a short week after an emotional, physical win against the Eagles. That contrast alone makes this game feel very different from what we saw in the regular season, and it is something you absolutely have to factor in when you think about how this could unfold. Seattle is expected to get left tackle Charles Cross back and safety Kobe Bryant back, and those are not minor names. Cross is one of the anchors of their offensive line, and when he is on the field, Sam Darnold is simply more comfortable, more protected, and more willing to let plays develop. You already know what that means when you're talking about a Niners pass rush that thrives on getting home quickly. If Cross is healthy enough to play close to his normal level, that is a real challenge for Nick Bosa and this defensive front, and it is something Kyle Shanahan and the coaching staff will absolutely have to account for. On the defensive side, Kobe Bryant coming back gives Seattle another playmaker in the secondary, someone who can tackle, break up passes, and even create turnovers, and that matters when you are going up against Brock Purdy in a playoff game. What makes all of this even more frustrating from a San Francisco perspective is the rest advantage. The Seahawks have had time to heal, to prepare, and to fine-tune their game plan, while the Niners had to fly across the country, play a brutal game, and then immediately turn around for another high-stakes road matchup. That is not an excuse, but it is reality, and in the playoffs, little edges like that can swing an entire game. This is why Kyle Shanahan was lobbying for this game to be on Sunday, because every extra hour of recovery matters when your roster has been through what this one has been through. Still, even with all of that, this is not a hopeless situation for San Francisco. In fact, this is exactly the kind of spot where great teams and great coaches find a way. The Niners already showed you they can go into a hostile environment and win when it matters, and now they get another chance to do it against their biggest rival. So I want to ask you something right now, and be honest with yourself when you answer it. Does Seattle's rest advantage actually worry you, or do you still believe this team can go in there and take this game anyway? Type yes if you think the Niners can overcome it, or no if you think it is too much to deal with. And while you're thinking about that, make sure you're subscribed, because this channel is where you stay locked in on everything that matters for this playoff run. We are pushing hard toward 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you makes a difference in building this Niners community. If you love this team and you want coverage that actually respects your intelligence as a fan, hit that subscribe button and like the video so more Niners fans can find it. Because when you move past the injuries and the rest advantage, what really decides this game is not just who is healthier, it is who controls the terms of the matchup, and that starts with how Seattle wants to play offense against San Francisco, which is exactly what we need to talk about next. You saw how the injury news and the rest differential set the stage, so now let's dig into exactly how Seattle wants to beat you. Because if you understand their plan, you understand what the Niners must do to take it away. In Week 18 at Levi, Seattle made it abundantly clear. They wanted to possess the ball, grind the clock, and keep San Francisco's offense off the field. They ran 39 times for 180 yards and controlled nearly 38 minutes of possession. That's not a fluke game plan. It's their identity when they're healthy and confident in the trenches. When they can run the ball effectively, they don't need to ask Sam Darnold to make heroic throws. They can simply chew clock and force you into one-possession football. So the obvious starting point for you as a Niners fan is this. Stopping the Seahawks' run game is not optional. It's the central mission. Let's talk personnel, because that's where the matchup details live. Kenneth Walker finished the season with over 1,000 yards on 221 carries. He's got the explosiveness, the ability to bounce runs outside, and he's a real receiving threat out of the backfield. Zach Charbonnet is the downhill smash guy, 184 carries, roughly 730 yards, and 12 rushing touchdowns that show how much Seattle trusts him in the red zone. Those two aren't identical, and that's part of the problem. If you game plan for Walker's speed and burst, Charbonnet will punish you inside. If you stack the box for Charbonnet, Walker can explode on the edges. That 1-2 punch forces you to defend the entire field. Now, how does San Francisco blunt that? The simplest answer is to win early downs. If you're consistently getting positive yardage on first and second down, Seattle is forced into third and long, and that's when Sam Darnold becomes the real variable. He's not going to run the ball on third and long, and he's been conservative against the Niners this year. The math works. Make Seattle face 3rd and 6+, and you increase the number of predictable passing situations. That's when your pass rush and coverage can create turnovers or at least 3 and outs. It's discipline, setting the edge, tackling in space, and not getting gashed on cutback lanes. Here's a quick interactive check. Which Seattle back worries you more? Walker's explosiveness or Charbonnet's power and red zone chops? Type Walker or Charbonnet in the comments and explain in one sentence. Also, quick yes, no. Do you think the Niners can stop the run this time? Vote with a yes or no below. Those replies help shape the conversation I want to see in the live pregame chat. One more thing. This is Seahawks Hate Week, so if you're fired up and you want more tactical breakdowns like this before kickoff, hit the like button and subscribe. We're pushing to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can keep growing the community and drop even more breakdowns and film study. Next up, I'll flip the script and show you why, despite Seattle's plan, this matchup can quietly favor San Francisco, and where the Niners can turn Seattle's strengths against them. Now here's where things get interesting, because when you zoom out and really look at what has happened in these matchups, the numbers start telling a very different story than the narrative. Yes, Seattle wants to run the ball and protect Sam Darnold, but against San Francisco, that approach has produced very little through the air. In 2 games this season, Darnold has not thrown a single touchdown against the Niners. He also has not thrown an interception, which tells you everything about how conservative that offense has been. Seattle has scored just 26 total points in those 2 games, which comes out to 13 per game, and that is not winning football against a team built like San Francisco in January. This is why first and second down defense is so critical. If the Niners can force Seattle into obvious passing situations, it puts Darnold into a spot he has been carefully protected from. When Seattle is behind the chains, they can't just keep handing the ball off. They have to let Darnold drop back, read the field, and try to beat a defense that already knows he is throwing. That is where mistakes happen, that is where sacks and turnovers show up, and that is where San Francisco has been at its best. This defense bends, but it doesn't break, and that style is tailor-made for playoff football. There are also 2 quiet edges in this game that most people are not talking about enough. The first is the coaching experience gap. Mike McDonald is a good coach, but this is his first playoff game. Kyle Shanahan, on the other hand, is coaching his 14th postseason game. That matters. In moments where you have to decide whether to go for it on 4th down, when to burn a timeout, or how aggressive to be with a lead, experience shows up. The second edge is the officiating crew. With John Hussey as the head referee, the Niners are 2-0 in games he has officiated, while the Seahawks are 0-1. That doesn't guarantee anything, but in tight playoff games, even small trends are worth noticing. And then there's Brock Purdy. What he just did against the Eagles was not luck, it was composure under pressure. He led a game-winning drive against one of the best defenses in the league, and now he comes into this game with 4 game-winning drives in his playoff career. Let me ask you something straight up. Do you trust Brock Purdy with the ball late in a playoff game? Yes or no? Type it in the comments, because that question might decide this entire run. This is also why I keep telling you to like this video and subscribe. We are building something here, and the closer we get to 1,000 subscribers, the more this channel can grow into a real home for Niners fans who want smart, passionate coverage without the noise. If you're riding with this team, make sure you're riding with this channel too, because when you start stacking up the facts, Seattle struggles to score against San Francisco, the way this defense forces mistakes, and Brock Purdy's ability to close games, you start to realize that the Niners are not just surviving in this matchup, they are positioned to take it. And when you look at what Purdy has already accomplished in the postseason, it becomes even harder to dismiss what he is building right in front of you. When you really step back and look at what Brock Purdy has already done in the postseason, it starts to feel less like a nice story and more like the beginning of a real legacy. This is a quarterback who just turned 26 and already has 5 playoff wins, which puts him ahead of, or right alongside, guys who have been in the league far longer. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson. Those names are supposed to live in a different tier, yet Purdy is stacking wins at a pace that belongs in that conversation. And the thing that stands out the most is not just that he wins, but how he wins. He does it late. He does it when everything is on the line. He does it when defenses know he has to throw. That game-winning drive against Philadelphia was not about luck or busted coverage. It was timing, reads, and nerves of steel against one of the best defensive minds in the sport. That is exactly what franchise quarterbacks do. They don't need perfect conditions. They don't need every star healthy. They just need the ball and a chance. That is why when this game in Seattle tightens up, and you know it will, the Niners are not walking into it hoping for a miracle. They are walking into it with a quarterback who has already proven he can deliver when it matters most. So let me throw this at you right now. Where do you rank Brock Purdy among NFC quarterbacks? Top 3? Top 5? Or do you think he still has something to prove? Drop your answer in the comments because this debate is only getting louder as he keeps winning. And if you're in Purdy's corner, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We are closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and this community is growing because fans like you actually care about what this team is building. What makes this even more exciting is that Purdy's rise is happening alongside one of the best coaching minds in football. The chemistry between quarterback and head coach is real, and it is why this offense keeps finding ways to survive injuries, adapt to opponents, and still move the ball when it has to. That brings you to the biggest conversation surrounding this entire run, and that is Kyle Shanahan himself and what he truly means to this franchise going forward. When you listen to former players talk about Kyle Shanahan, you start to realize just how rare what you are watching really is. This is not just a good coach. This is someone who consistently gives his team a chance to win no matter how beat up the roster is or how stacked the opponent looks. Two different former NFL players, Logan Ryan and Ryan Clark, both said out loud that Shanahan deserves a lifetime contract, and while that phrase is obviously hyperbole, the meaning behind it is very real. Shanahan has taken this organization from being a bottom-of-the-league mess in 2017 to a perennial Super Bowl contender with multiple NFC championship appearances and 2 trips to the Super Bowl. What makes his coaching so special is that it is not dependent on perfect conditions. This season alone, he has dealt with stretches without Brock Purdy, without George Kittle, without Brandon Aiyuk, without Trent Williams, and yet this team is still here in the divisional round, fighting for a shot at a Super Bowl. That does not happen without elite scheming, elite preparation, and the ability to get every ounce of production out of whoever is on the field. That is why players who have been coached by legends like Bill Belichick can walk into a Shanahan meeting room and immediately know they are dealing with someone operating at the very top of the profession. So I want to put it to you directly. Should Kyle Shanahan get a lifetime contract with the 49ers? Yes or no? Type it in the comments because this is one of those questions that really defines how you see this era of Niners football. And if you believe in what Shanahan has built, make sure you like this video and subscribe. We are pushing toward 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps make this channel stronger. No matter how this playoff run ends, one thing is clear. The 49ers are not here by accident. They are here because they have a quarterback who can close, a roster that keeps fighting, and a head coach who gives them an edge every single week. That is what makes this matchup in Seattle feel like more than just another rivalry game. It feels like another chance for this era of Niners football to prove it belongs on the biggest stage.